So Mary, let's bring it back home now. There's been this debate in the Milwaukee Common Council about this package of legislation proposed by suburban legislators involving crime in Milwaukee, specifically carjacking. So what's going on with it? What are the politics behind it, and how have the aldermen reacted?
Right, so the suburban lawmakers proposed this package of 8 bills, which is actually getting a public hearing at the Capitol today. It deals a lot with repeat violent offenders. It's targeting carjackers, but it deals with, it would send more like repeat offenders, juveniles, to Lincoln Hills, which is obviously the troubled school up north that has been in our paper quite a bit lately. But they're arguing that these are people who have repeatedly shown that they are violent and that they should be sent, that we should be sending more people instead of giving them so many chances. Some of the Common Council members fully endorsed that. They did a news conference last week where 3 of the members, who tend to be the more conservative, stood up with suburban lawmakers in West Dallas, talking about how kind of places like West Dallas are the next front and it's spreading into the suburbs. But then it went to the Common Council today, or I'm sorry, on Tuesday for their meeting, and it was clearly not a unanimous thing, and the vast majority of the council voted to send it back to committee to talk about it more, saying that the solution is not more incarceration and Lincoln Hills is not a place that is rehabilitating young people, and basically said we need to talk about prevention, and sure, we need to have punishment, but they were concerned about essentially locking kids up and throwing away the key.
This sounds a little bit like what happened with the school system and the suburban legislators, where Dale Koenga and Alberta Darling wanted to do the takeover of the schools, just get someone to take over the MPS and everything would be fixed. But the people within the system were kept on saying the problem's a little bit more complicated than that, and not much happened as a result.
So obviously with the death of Ziggy, the city worker who was killed on duty in an attempted carjacking, this has been brought to the forefront once again. There's been talk about, you know, what do you do when somebody is young but is committing serious crimes? How do you rehabilitate them? And at what point should they be, you know, locked up?
There's been this question too about police pursuit policy. Is that an issue?
Yeah, and part of it is, you know, somebody like Alderman Bob Donovan, who is a kind of more of one of the more tough on crime council members, says that part of the reason kids are stealing so many cars is that they feel like they can do so without punishment because they're not going to be chased. He calls it a no pursuit policy, which Milwaukee police does not agree with, and they do some pursuits, but there is this balance of what if you chase somebody and then they crash into somebody and kill a bunch of people in a car, and what is the threshold for chasing somebody? I think, you know, obviously if somebody carjacks and there's been a gun in somebody's face, I think they're more likely to chase than somebody who has just maybe stolen a parked car. Or
now, how are the numbers on carjackings in the last 2 or 3 years? Are they up, down, or are
they, like homicides, I think that they have been increasing to a point that people are getting increasingly nervous. Although for this year, you know, it might be slower this year than last year. We'll just have to see because it's pretty early.
Well, last year it seemed to get a lot of attention with the carjackings. And to be fair, I think everybody agrees that there is a huge problem.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, it's...
Right. The difference is how do you solve it and how easily can you solve it? Can you solve it with a couple of bills, or do you need something else?